I want to say thank you to the Rotary Club for your donations to sponsor 7 campers for the LaSalle STEM program and conflict resolution. Your generosity made a big difference, and we couldn't say enough about how your mission to continue to empower young people as well as adults. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, it's really a joy to invite back Reverend Linda Ivey today. She'll be talking about her work with the Germantown, all the different Germantown faith communities against gun violence, having young people. And we helped send some of them to the STEM camp this past summer, and she'll talk about that a little bit as well. To read about this lady is amazing, all that she's done. She's an adjunct professor at Lincoln University, Harcum College, and the Lancaster Bible College. And she has she was the director and founder of her own 501c3 organization called Your Destiny Is Here Incorporated. And they provide individual care for folks. They do ministry in terms of various kinds of meetings and retreats and stuff like that. And Reverend Linda, it is wonderful that you're back with us. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for your kindness and your support and just your mission and your generosity and willing to help people have better lives, even though you're not a part of it. And just to be able to have that vision, the word says we walk by faith, not by sight. And so having faith in others and other programs, that you all have faith that what we do will help other people. So again, thank you so much. I wanted to give you feedback on how the program went with the Germantown Faith Communities Against Gun Violence. I don't know if you all were here earlier this year, if it's the same group, but we are as Frank said, a faith-based organization that tries to mitigate gun violence in Germantown. And we've been doing, in addition to conflict resolution, which is what we did, they've also been doing peace marches and convocations and all kinds of supports and connecting with other programs that also are trying to reduce gun violence. And so recently we had the idea of what can we do to reduce gun violence, and we said, okay, let's do a summer camp. And anyone who's ever worked or been to a summer camp, you know it's a lot of moving pieces. And right now it's 12 people in the group, and some people are retired. Some people are wealthy and retired. Tom, we're not calling names, Tom. And then there are others of us who have full-time jobs. And so when we started looking at really what it took to do a summer camp, I knew from the beginning it wasn't going to work. I just knew that. I was like, no, it's just too much work. But you know, you can't tell the group. You have to let them evolve into it. So once we started looking at a summer camp, we said like, no, how about if we just do a program and do like a vacation Bible school. And even that was a lot. But one of our board members is also a full-time professor at LaSalle. And that's how we got connected with LaSalle's STEM program, and which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And LaSalle is committed to connecting with the community that surrounds LaSalle. And so when Maureen O'Connor came and said, we have this conflict resolution program, they said yes. And then through our connection through Tom and Frank, you all were able to support campers. And so we had a wonderful experience. So that's the backstory. Here we are today. Our program has developed into like a three-legged stool. We have the conflict resolution. We also have an employment piece where we employ teenagers from Germantown to become counselors in training at LaSalle in this camp, in the STEM program. And then the third leg of the stool is within the program at LaSalle. We have 2 activities that highlight social justice. So we were able to do all of that at LaSalle, and the program was for 2.5 weeks. And so LaSalle STEM Camp is a field practicum for their graduate students who are teachers. And so that's why the camp is like 2.5 weeks. But it's amazing. It's a real camp, but yet the LaSalle graduate students don't have to go out and look for a field placement. They can participate in that. So I say that to say, in the beginning, we were tasked with giving the conflict resolution classes to the graduate students. And so that was about 56 people. And we did a mini conflict resolution. The graduate students thought it was amazing. They loved it. They said it was practical, and it was things that they could apply at their respective schools, because remember, they're full-time teachers. And then we did the conflict resolution classes for the campers. And that was about 36 campers, ages of, according to grades, from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And the content, and I shared the content of conflict resolution when I was here before, but just briefly, we focused on about 4 things. The first thing was being able to recognize when a normal situation turns unsafe. That's the first thing we focused on. I mean, we did a lot of stuff and had a lot of concepts, but we wanted to make it real simple, had to have 4 takeaways. If you be able to recognize that when a normal situation, safe situation, becomes unsafe. Then second is, what do you do when that happens? How do you make yourself safe? And then number 3 is, once you've made yourself safe, what do you do after that? You either, 1, tap a friend and say, hey, I don't think this is a really good situation. I'm leaving, you should leave too. Or 3, tell an adult if something's going on. And then the 4th one is, how do I continue to let other people know that sometimes things change and we should not be in unsafe situations. Some things create problems. We should look for that. We should not try to do that. And so what we said was, number 4 was, we tried to make people peacemakers. And so that was the program. And we had a lot of concepts, a lot of sessions, and we had fun because, again, they're kids. So it's real. You don't want to lecture to people, because when you lecture to people, you start to look like what I'm seeing out here, like glazed looks. And so you want to make it interactive. So we had a lot of role plays. We had case scenarios. We had just a bunch of things. The group was a mix of African American, Latino, Asian, and as well as white students as well, white campers as well. So it was a great mix. Of course, the kids, it was challenging for me because I'm an adjunct professor, so I'm used to teaching adults. So children was like trying to herd kittens. They were just all over the place, but they really enjoyed it. And one of the things I thought was a takeaway is, this is my famous case scenario. We had a situation where I want to get this right. They were, we had a case scenario where we would get the kids to role play, the campers to role play. And in this role play, the campers were playing a game. I think we said they were like playing cards or something for money. And one of the campers, the role play was, he was supposed to say, "You cheated me, I want my money back." And then the other person was supposed to say, or did say, "Oh, you're just a loser, ha, ha, ha." And then all the other people in the group, it was about a group of 6, started laughing at the person who said that the other person was cheating. And then the end role play, the camper would say to him, "You all won't be laughing when I come back." And so it ended. And of course we processed it. What happened? It was a safe situation. They were having fun. But when they said they were losers, why do you think, camper A walked away angry? And then, they talked about it. We kind of dissected it and being able to see that, okay, what is your emotional intelligence? Which means you change your behavior when you look at the environment and you adjust your behavior accordingly. And so, what happened? What went on? Oh, he was angry. Well, when he comes back, what do you think he's going to do? Oh, he's going to come back. You think he's just going to fuss? No, he's going to come back with a gun and da 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 da. So that's how we processed it. And now everybody was right on point, and I was so proud of myself, right? Then one of the students said, no, and then they said, and I said, "Should you leave?" When he left, some of the students, because transfer learning, you really want to make sure they get it. And one of the students said, "Oh yeah, we would leave before he came back." And one of the students, which I was like, "Yay, Linda!" One of the students said, "I would leave immediately." I'm like, "Yes, no, we would leave before he came back." So then, not part of the script, the person who said you're a loser said, "Well, I wouldn't let him leave. I would pull out my gun and I would start shooting him." And I thought, all right, that's not part of the script. But it's part of what they see on television. It might be part of what they hear in school, So I said, well, let's go with this. I said, stand up, get your gun. They said, "Reverend Ivey, I don't have a gun." I said, "Well, pull out something with it that looks like a gun." She had a soft pretzel in a bag. So she pulled out the soft pretzel. And I said to her, and I'm going to have to move away from the camera so I can demonstrate. So she pulls it out of the bag and she lifts it up, and I stop her and I say, "Have you ever taken lessons on how to shoot?" "No." "So you have no idea how to shoot?" "No." I said, "Okay." So she pulls it up and she pulls it out of the bag. And she's now the person she wants. Let's say, I'm sorry, what's your name again? Yes. I know. He's like, wait a minute, where? Yes, exactly. No, tell me your name. Tim. Okay. So the guy she wants to shoot, unfortunately, is Tim. But she pulls, I know, that's why you don't want to give me your name. So, but when she pulls the gun up, it aims here. And I said, "Stop." I said, "You just shot her." She was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah. You have a semi-automatic weapon, and all you have to do is once you keep your finger on the trigger, once you have your finger on the trigger, it'll shoot." She said, oh, I'm sorry." And so then she swings the gun over to shoot over here. I said, "I know." I said, "Now you have just shot all those people over here." And the student said, "What?" And so just for emphasis, I said, "You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead." And one of the students said, wait. maybe her parents took her to gun school and maybe she knows how to shoot a weapon. And I said, she said, because my parents took me to gun school and I know how to shoot a weapon. I said, well, would your parents let you carry a loaded weapon to school? No. I said, no. I said, so do you think her parents sent her to gun school? No. I said, okay, you're dead too. And we did it in both classes. One class, she actually got the person she was trying to shoot. The other class, the person didn't go away. But in each class, you had about 6 to 7 people who got shot in theory. And what was interesting to me is at the end of the class, when we processed it, I said, what is the takeaway? What's the one takeaway? You know, your aha moment for every class. I did that for every session, just again, to check transfer of learning. And the students and the class was, you know, it was a arch. And the kids on this side said, oh, the role play, the this, the that, you know, different things. But the kids on the other side who got shot said something I thought was very interesting. They said, we didn't think that the role play would end that way. I said, what do you mean? He said, we didn't think we would get shot. And I just let it sit there for a minute. And so I asked, does that happen in real life? They said, yeah. I said, so waiting to leave resulted in somebody getting hurt, right? They're like, yeah, we should leave immediately. Absolutely. And I said to them, it's okay to make a bad decision in this class. It's okay. But you have to learn from that bad decision. And on the streets, you know that's not going to work. So don't make those bad decisions. And so with that, that's my poignant example. And I walked and I left with knowing that these role plays, this information does make a difference, because all those hypothetical and glamorous things that you see on television and the conversations you have with people, that's not real. That's not real. It takes a second for things to change. And so while that was the most dramatic, most of the examples were fun, but again, it's all, and throughout every class, we kept saying, if something goes wrong, who's the person you should protect first? Us. That's right. You get out of the way. Don't stay waiting for your friends or anything. And then one other thing I said to them, because someone said, I told the teacher about it and she said, go back and sit down. So I said to them, every class, if something happens and you tell an adult and they don't do anything, what should you do? And because we recited to them, tell another adult. And he said, what happens if that adult doesn't do anything? Tell another adult. And I said, and what happens if that adult doesn't do anything? Tell another adult, tell the police. I said, absolutely. If you don't get results from one person, you keep repeating and telling adults until someone does something. Because too often children come into adults who either one, don't believe them, two, don't want to get involved, or three, just underestimate the seriousness of a situation. So I said, my pastor and we trained all those students that if the situation warrants adult intervention, you keep telling someone until someone does something. And so we walked away with that kind of giving them that kind of information and that kind of empowerment. We also talked about if weapons were involved, don't, just immediately tell an adult. But for most things, if situations change and you feel like it's unsafe, leave. You can always come back. You can always come back if you were wrong. But if you were right, you don't want to close that option. So that was our program. LaSalle has invited us back. They said we were the most engaging and most organized community program they had experienced. And so they invited us back to do it again for 2024. So, but again, your sponsorship allowed 7 campers to experience that and walk away with a whole new perspective on their communities and being able to assess what's safe and what's unsafe. One of the issues are, one, we underestimate or we become desensitized. That if everybody's yelling and screaming and everyone has like this big emotes all over the place, we think that's normal. But having this kind of class helps children dissect what's safe and what's unsafe. And if it's unsafe, leave. So thank you for allowing children to do that. Questions? Okay, yes.
We support a lot of public schools here. Is it possible for us to ask the principals if some of their students could go to this camp?
You know what, that is very possible. We also have taken our show on the road, and one of the teachers at the camp talked to another teacher, and Logan Elementary School invited us to participate and they have an anti-violence program. Logan School has a lot of supports in there. It's amazing. Social worker, clinical psychologist. It's really amazing. And they invited us to teach. So to do classes. So we did 4 45-minute classes at Logan School. So we are willing to do that. The struggle for me is the children, if the children are too young, the information is over their heads. So we try to focus on like the higher end of elementary to middle school, because they can understand and apply it appropriately. As the younger children that we did, because I think we did like 3rd and 4th grade, they had a fun day. It was fun. They learned a little thing, but it was more fun. But the 5th and 6th graders really could digest it and apply it to their environment.
So the schools we support does have like 5 to 8.
Okay, absolutely. So, I mean, they could either go to LaSalle and I can send you who would I send information? I can send you information about LaSalle Summer Camp, because it's a wonderful program. It really is. In addition to the conflict resolution, they have all the other stuff about STEM. And it was so funny because the teachers kept saying whenever there was something going on in their class, it's like, this is conflict, we need resolution, come. I'm like, yeah, okay, right. But it's a really good program. So that's an option, absolutely, and I'll send you the information. Yes.
How did those graduate students respond to the role play? They must have done.
They loved it. We didn't do role plays because it was a huge auditorium with like 56 people. But what we did was case scenarios, and they really enjoyed the case scenarios. They read them, and then we started to ask them questions about, how do you think this person feels? What's going on? What are the ramifications of being in this kind of environment? Because that's a biggie. If your family is filled with conflict and trauma and drama, then you go out and think that's the norm. So we talked to them about that, and they were able to apply it to, maybe this is why we have some of our students act this way. And then we also talked about interventions as well. So again, some of the teachers came back to us and said, I put this up in my class at STEM. And then they also said, I'm going to use this in the fall for my school in wherever they are, all over the state. Yes.
So first of all, congratulations on the
Thank
success
you.
of the pilot program.
Thank you.
Exciting that you're going to move forward with
Yes,
it.
thank you.
So 2 takeaways from your anecdote about the role play. So clearly your main focus is how to staying safe. So
Yes.
teaching them how to get out of an unsafe situation.
Correct.
Which is going to save lives.
Correct.
But the depressing part of the anecdote was the child whose instinct was to, well, I know how I'd solve it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how is that just too big a nut to crack? Where does that come from, and how do we address that?
You're absolutely right. And and there are people who who actually have that in heart, and I believe that's an emotional mental health problem. I do. When children think that that's a legitimate response, there's some emotional stuff going on, some mental health stuff. This particular student, again, because you see movies and television, you know, quick draw, quick draw, you know, I would get him first. That particular student, when I started talking about the ramifications of what she did, she felt badly. She was like, no, I didn't mean no. And also her response from the class is people started rolling their eyes at her and they got angry with her, which is interesting because it was just a role play and you really weren't there. But she got to see that you think you're being a hero, you think you're being drama, but you're bringing all this pain, and now your classmates are angry with you, which in reality, if you were to do something like that, that's exactly what would happen 10 times. How do we address children like that on a larger scale? Is as adults, we need to be able to identify abnormal behavior, and that, you know, yeah, sometimes parents just overlook some things, but as professionals, we need to be able to say, this is unusual, and be able to talk to the parents, or if you're, you know, as part of your organization, to be able to have the children, like have someone talk to that children professionally. You know, when we look at like Columbine and things like that, these were children who had emotional problems. If you know the backstory, they had emotional problems anyway. They were the kids who were secluded, who were killing small animals, who were doing kinds of unusual stuff, and it just escalated. And the, you know, and even the parents, well, they wouldn't let me in the room, and yeah, they like guns, visiting sites on internet with gun sites. Those are behaviors that are atypical for children. And so again, while you can't, as professionals, while we can't create or stop everything, as professionals, when you see unusual behavior, mark it as unusual and be able within your own realm to be able to help the parents or guardians address that. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Quick follow-up to that. Did you make any effort to assess how many kids were in close proximity to a gun in their lives?
No, I did not do that. I did not do that. I really, one of the things about working with children, when you open certain doors and you have certain discussions, you have to allow them, you have to do closure. And so I didn't want to open up an area where I didn't have the time. I have the expertise. I have a master's in social work. I've been working with children and families for years. So I have the expertise, but it wasn't that kind of program. So I didn't want to talk about those kinds of things and not be able to have closure for the children.
Real quick, in your
Yes.
role play, hopefully you do this as well, because it's something that really bothers me a lot. I love the idea that you said, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. Do you do a scenario of people videoing the kids today that the immediate fight starts out, immediately something happens.
Okay.
And as they're standing there with the video, you should do the same thing. You're dead, you're
Yes,
dead.
the video photography. Yes, you know what? Thank you for that. Yes.
It's so, it fuels the fire, it doesn't help anything, and it leaves them in harm's way.
Yes, absolutely. And it also is an indication of how desensitized people are to violence and their fellow man. I keep hitting this. I'm so sorry. I can't pay for this. I'm so sorry. Okay, last question. Comment, yes. Absolutely.
So one of the things, I used to be a school teacher.
Oh, right,
One of
right.
the things that is very difficult as a teacher is to have rewards and reinforcement for positive behavior. And if I could make a suggestion, and it follows up what Carol said, if we could create a sort of a program in Emlyn and Jenks and Houston or whatever, and say to the teacher, you can elect one kid to go to this program who's your top kid. I'm sure
Yes.
we would pay for it, and if we
Okay,
don't pay for it,
yes.
I'll pay for it.
Okay,
For one kid to go in each of our classes, to be given a scholarship to go to
Okay,
each
great.
program. And let the teacher do it, so the teacher has something as a carrot to give the best kids in the class.
absolutely, absolutely. Or even the best kids or the kids who are most improved. Because sometimes you have children who are all over the
It's
place.
up to the teacher.
Yeah,
Whatever the teacher wants to do.
I agree. I just, I like that idea, and I just add that sometimes children do improve and their only improvement is like maybe a pat on the head, or you should have been doing it anyway. But sometimes incentive to continue to do better. But absolutely, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.